Summer Game Fest is over, and I have to say that the PC came out on top yet again. With few exceptions, almost everything that we saw in the past few weeks will be coming to PC at some point. And if the past is precedent, then for nearly all of the announcements, it will be sooner rather than later, if not day and date. In short, good news, PC gaming fans, we are eating good right now. So in today's video, let's take a look at Summer Game Fest, all of the different announcements, and see where the PC landed on all of them. Of course, I also want to talk about some non-PC games as well, because I am platform agnostic, and I want to talk about how this new format for what I like to call not E3 is working out. Let's start off with the actual Summer Game Fest show, which kicked off with LEGO Horizon Adventures. Before we get to the actual games, I want to say that I appreciate that Jeff Keighley actually addressed the elephant in the room this year, where he talked about, you know, all of the layoffs that the industry has seen. I hate that this is constantly happening in the industry, and I like that he actually addressed it this year. It's something that he didn't really do last year. All right. LEGO Horizon Adventures kicked off the show, and I don't personally care about this game, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that adore LEGO games. This one is significant because Sony owns this IP, and the game is not only coming to PC on day one, but also Nintendo Switch. Now, sadly, Xbox fans are getting left out in the cold on this one, though I don't really think that that's a huge surprise to anyone there. Even though I'm not personally hyped for this game, I can recognize that it looks visually amazing. The toys almost look like real toys, and obviously it's not going to look this good on the Nintendo Switch or the Steam Deck or other PC handhelds. On PS5s and higher end PCs, this game is going to look amazing. Star Wars Outlaws got some new footage, and people actually got some hands-on time with it at Summer Games Fest. They've all said that the game is actually pretty good, and while I'm certainly not going to run out and pre-order it based on that, once reviews hit, this game looks to be right in my wheelhouse, so I probably will be picking it up. And by picking it up, I mean buying the absolute cheapest possible version, because I am not going to support their tiered release BS. Next up, Hyperlight Drifter is looking fantastic, and this is the follow-up to the amazing Hyperlight Drifter. Did I say Drifter before? Hyperlight Breaker is the follow-up to Hyperlight Drifter, which I think was announced about 2 years ago. Well, we got a good look at it now, and man, this game looks unique. It has a full campaign with co-op, an amazing color palette. I can't wait to get my hands on this. It's going to launch into early access in summer, though not the kind of early access that I hate, where you pay extra money to play early. This is the kind of early access where they're still working on the game, and you know, they're just giving you a taste. Usually, while it's like building an airplane while you're in the air. Usually this is a bit of a discount from the release version, and while I am very excited for this game, I think that I'm going to wait for the full release. I have plenty of games to play, and in the past, when I've bought early access games, by the time the finished product finally rolls around, I'm just not that interested in them anymore. So I'm going to hold off and play my backlog until then. Though I am curious, what are your thoughts on early access games? Let me know in the comments down below that like button. I think that my favorite announcement from the actual Summer Game Fest presentation, it has to be Monster Hunter Wilds. The gameplay, it looked really, really good, but more importantly, Monster Hunter Wild confirmed crossplay for all platforms. So no matter where your friends are playing this game, you're going to be able to play with them. And I think that this is thanks to Capcom's new account system, which I could be wrong about this, but I don't think it really existed much before Street Fighter 6. So when I went from Monster Hunter Rise on Nintendo Switch and then I bought it again on PC, not only did I have to start my character over after 50 hours, I also couldn't play with my friends unless they rebought the game, which really, really sucked. Of course, one thing that I do worry about when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds, they've said that cross-play is available, but they didn't say anything about cross-progression, at least nothing that I saw. Anyway, also, they announced that any changes that you make to the ecosystem when you are out adventuring in Monster Hunter Wild are persistent changes. So when you return to base, the outside world is going to continue where you left off in the background. As far as how this is going to manifest itself when it comes to gameplay, here's what they said, quote, let's say you hunted Dashaguma and reduce the number of them on the map. When we open the map the next time, if you want to find one to hunt, there's not going to be as many. If you pull down some rocks that hang in a cave in order to attack a monster, it's going to be a while before those rocks are ready again because they kind of develop on their own timescale. So that's going to affect the next time that you go there, end quote. This sounds really great. I just hope that it's well balanced so that it doesn't break missions and, certain missions become unable to be completed when I want to go after them because, the rocks that I needed to do something aren't there, or the monsters that I have to hunt don't exist because I had already killed them all. Waiting for that repopulation might be a pain. I hope that that's not the case. Sony's presentation was actually the first one, and it had the fewest PC implications. But let's take a look at what we've got. Concord is a game everybody loves to hate, even though nobody's touched it yet. I get it. It's another 5v5 hero shooter, and do we really need another one of those? I don't know, but I'm sure it's going to be free to play, and there's going to be a beta planned later on this year. I'll check it out when it comes to PC. I think it's in late August. I'm personally willing to give it a chance. I do enjoy hero shooters, and while I'm not playing one right now, so with such a low barrier to entry, why not give it a shot? That said, I do feel like they're leaning in the wrong direction, as they said that they're going to be putting out weekly story updates, and my initial reaction to that is, who cares about the story in these games? But at the same time, Overwatch cutscenes are fantastic. They're fantastic to watch, and they do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to building the lore of the world in Overwatch. I don't know if Concord can pull that off, but I hope that Concord can make me care, but I'm skeptical as always. God of War Ragnarok is also on its way to PC, but the trailer kind of proves why you should just wait to get your PC games later. Basically, the trailer went through and showed all of the reasons that Ragnarok will be better to play on the PC instead of your PS5. Not only does it come with the DLC included, it also has support for ultra-wide monitors, unlocked frame rates, upscaling technologies like DLSS, FSR, and XeSS. Essentially, this trailer tells you everything that your PS5 doesn't have. But that's okay. I love my PS5, but I'm glad to be a patient gamer and be able to play it on PC when it comes out. Xbox was probably the most PC-focused event. They showed off the new Call of Duty. I don't play Call of Duty, so I have zero opinion on that. Let me know if it looked good to you in the comments down below that like button. Also showed off Avowed. Now, for Avowed, I'm very skeptical of this game. I think that the game looks interesting. The world is unique, which I love, but the combat just feels like it lacks any weight. I really hope that I'm wrong about this, especially because it's being made by Obsidian, and I know that they are known for quality. I'm personally hoping that this is one of those games where watching it being played just isn't a good substitute for actually playing it. Think Skyrim. If you have a PC handheld that has access to Game Pass, this and nearly all of the games in the Xbox Showcase are Game Pass games. So Lenovo Legion Go, ROG Ally or Ally X, and any other Game Pass compatible handheld PC, boy, you got a lot of games that are coming in that Xbox presentation. Moving on to my favorite shooter series, Doom. The new Doom games that came out starting in 2016 have been absolutely amazing. I loved Doom 2016. I played it start to finish on my PC using my Steam controller, gyro, using the stick, the trackpads and everything. It was a fantastic experience. Then Doom Eternal took everything about Doom 2016 and cranked it up to 11. I played all the way through it on Google Stadia, and then when Stadia shut down, I ended up picking it up for PC as well. I know that Eternal is divisive, but I absolutely love that game. The next game in the series is called Doom: The Dark Ages, and it looks really good. The new weapons look nuts, and I feel like we're really getting creative with the weapons that we saw, from the shield saw to the skull fragmenter. I don't know what it's actually called, that's just what I call it. And I love that Doom Guy has a flail now for melee combat. But now we're riding dragons and fighting in mechs, and it just looks bananas, and it's coming to Game Pass, so I guess I'll have to play it. We also got to see new footage of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and my hype levels are through the roof for this game. I particularly like how gunplay was not emphasized in this trailer, and this absolutely feels like Indiana Jones to me. Though most of the trailer was an extended cutscene, I don't know how much it really is going to feel like that in game. We'll see how it goes. Unlike what we saw in Perfect Dark trailer, which felt like it was actual gameplay and about 3 full minutes of it. One thing I was worried about with this game is the fact that I've never played the original, but according to the studio, it doesn't require any prior knowledge to enjoy this one. Perfect Dark is a single player experience, and it focuses on traversal and gadgets. In this trailer, you can see some parkour. Joanna steals somebody's voice with a gadget. Feels like James Bond, but not James Bond, which kind of is exactly what you're going for this particular game. Speaking of spies, Metal Gear Solid Delta is coming to consoles and PC. The first gameplay was part of the Xbox showcase, and I have to say, as somebody with almost zero experience with the series, I am very excited to see what all the hype is about. I've never played it before, can't wait. Moving on to Nintendo. Yes, I said that right, Nintendo, because even though I love PC gaming, I also love Nintendo games, and man, Nintendo's Direct was pretty crazy. Now, there was a lot of stuff that I have zero interest in, so I'm not going to cover that stuff, but most of it also on PC. One thing that I was excited about was the new Marvel vs. Capcom collection that finally gives us a way to legally play these games. The game is already up for wishlisting on Steam, so if it's something you're interested in, get over there and wishlist it. Speaking of wishlisting, this one was something I'd never heard of, MIO, Memories in Orbit. It was shown off at the Nintendo Direct, but it's also coming to Steam. You can already wishlist it. It looks like a very cool Metroidvania game where you explore an ancient spaceship that has been taken over by a bunch of machines. The art style seems like a combination of hand-drawn mixed with 3D renders. I love the way that this game looks. It's on my wish list already. Square snuck in a bonus announcement into the Nintendo Direct. We already knew, at least I think we already knew, that they were making Dragon Quest III an HD 2D remake. But then right at the end of it, they also announced Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remakes as well. This very much confuses me. As somebody who never played the original Dragon Quest 1 through 3 games, my first Dragon Quest game since Dragon Warrior was Dragon Quest 11S, which was amazing. But here's my question. Dragon Quest 3 comes out November 14th. And then 1 and 2 are releasing next year in 2025. Square says that you can now play the entire Edric trilogy, but what order are you supposed to play them in? Do I play Dragon Quest 3 first and then 1 and 2 afterwards? Dragon Quest people, let me know in the comments down below that like button. All right, that's it for PC releases in the Direct that I'm excited for, but as I said in the beginning, I am platform agnostic. I play everything. So, on Switch, we have a new Zelda game based on the art style from Link's Awakening, which was fantastic. This one lets you play as Zelda, which people have been waiting for years, and gives you the ability to copy items and then clone them to solve puzzles. You can even clone enemies and then make those enemies fight for you. This game comes out on September 26th. It looks absolutely like the kind of game that is right down my alley, and it looks like it might be the third in the trilogy of games that are based in the Link to the Past universe. We had A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, and now this one, because the world looks like it's the same world. But then Nintendo finally showed us some gameplay from Metroid Prime 4. You know what? Screw it. Here, check it out. God, this looks good. Just a quick reminder, Nintendo announced this game at E3 2017, and then 2 years later, they said, I'm sorry, we don't like what we're making. We're starting development over and we're going to go back to Retro Studios. And we've heard absolutely nothing from them since. Every single direct for the past 5 years, we've been waiting and wondering, are we getting some news about Metroid Prime 4? And it's been disappointment after disappointment. Nothing. Silence. Last year, Nintendo released Prime Remastered, and it was fantastic on the Nintendo Switch, but this game is launching in 2025, which tells me it's got to be a launch. It's got to be a launch game for the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Metroid Prime 4 is called Beyond, and it makes me wonder, will Nintendo call the Switch 2 the Switch Beyond, or the Beyond Switch? It feels like the weird kind of nomenclature that they like to use, but this game is absolutely a 100% a day one for me, hopefully on the new Switch. I know I'm going to love going back to these worlds again. I just hope that between now and Metroid Prime 4, we get Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remasters so we can play all the games in the series on the same system. Before I wrap up everything, I want to talk about how this summer's announcements went. Back in the era of E3, everything was packed into just one weekend, or you know, in most years, and then every couple of years it might have been spread out as much as a week. This year with Summer Game Fest, everyone was doing their own thing, but I get the distinct feeling that they kind of worked things out amongst themselves in a back room somewhere. Basically, everyone got their own time to shine. PlayStation went first, and then Xbox with Summer Games Fest, and then Nintendo kind of followed up the week after, and it's been fantastic for the podcast because I feel like in the past, I would constantly lose things in the shuffle. There would be so many announcements that we couldn't possibly talk about everything on the show. And that's not the issue that we had this year. We had an entire week to talk about PlayStation announcements, an entire week to talk about Xbox announcements, and now we're going to have an entire week to talk about Nintendo announcements. That clearly wasn't what I did in this video, but it's definitely what you're going to see in the podcast. By the way, if you didn't know, I do have a podcast. It's called the NerdNest Podcast. You can find it right here on YouTube or in your favorite podcast player, and I hope that you will check it out right here. From the NerdNest, I'm Bill. Stay rad. Take it easy, everybody.